All right, we're going to talk about how to create a list in Navigate and a few different ways that you're able to do that. So first off, you're going to log into Navigate at avila.campus.eab.com, and you're going to, you're going to use the same credentials that you use for MyAU, Canvas, and Outlook. Once you get logged in, you are going to see your staff homepage. You're going to see a list of your assigned students right there. What we're going to focus on is the bullet point list icon. That is the lists and searches icon where the arrow is pointing. So once you click on that, it's going to take you to the list page. So this is option number 1 for how to create a list. So this is the list page that you're going to see. So I have a few different lists down there with lots of different numbers of students. So what we want to focus on is this blue button over here where it says new student list. So once you click on that, it's going to ask you to name the list something. So you can choose whatever name you'd like for the list that you're creating. Then it's going to take you back to the list page and show you the brand new list that you just created in the list of all your other lists that you have also created. So in order to add students, you're going to have to click on that checkbox there next to your new list that you just made. And once you do that, you're going to click on actions and the third option there where it says upload student list. So in order to upload a student list, it's going to have you go through a few different steps. So it's going to ask you to upload a file to the list, and it says choose the list again. So you're going to choose the new list that you just added. Just make sure they just want to double check that that's the list that you're wanting to upload students to. Then it's going to ask for you to upload a CSV file. So CSV stands for, I believe, comma delineated file. And it's basically where it's like an Excel sheet, but you have a different way of like listing things where it's not going to like jumble all together. Like it's not going to jumble all the letters and numbers together. That's my understanding of it, at least. So once you have so if your file is an Excel file, you will have to save as and save it as a comma delineated file. So you're going to choose that as your file to be uploaded. And then you want to make sure that in your file that there is a column that has all the student ID numbers, and that column is labeled like student ID number or IDs or something of that nature. So then that way Navigate will know which column to use. So you have to select the column down here, and they're going to know which column to use for the ID numbers, because that's how they are going to identify the students that are on your list, is by their ID. Once you do that, it's the last part of the process, and it's going to say success. The students have been added to blank, whatever the name of your list is. And then it's going to have you click on where it says view my student list, and it's going to take you back to that homepage. And your list should be there with the accurate number of students that you are wanting to be in the list. Once you click on it, I would definitely say review it just to make sure, like, how many students were you expecting on the list. Just scroll through the names to make sure those are the correct people that you wanted on your list, and go from there. So that is option number 1. Moving on to option number 2 for creating a list. You can add students manually. So in your list, let's say you do that same process, but without uploading the CSV file. Once you click on your list, let's say it's back at 0, it's going to show like, hey, we don't have any students here. Or if you wanted to do the CSV file and then add more students later, you could definitely do that as well. Over here on the right-hand side, there's a blue button that says add students. So once you click on that, it's going to ask you to put in the student's first and last name or their student ID to identify them and then add them to your list. So that's the second way. Moving on to the third way. With creating a list, so if you want to have any of your assigned students on this list that you're creating, you can check the checkbox next to their names and then hit actions up there on that gray bar. And then the third up from the bottom, that option is to add to student list. So if you click on their name or click on the checkbox next to their name, you can add them to your list that way. So if there are students that are already assigned to you and you're adding them to a list for something else that you might be working on, then that is another way you can add students to a list. And then our fourth option, adding an individual student. So you can use the quick search bar at the top of the screen to type in the student's first and last name or type in their ID number. And then over on the right-hand side, second to last option there, it says add to student list, and you can add that student individually, and then it'll ask you what list you want to add them to, and then you choose that list. So that's another way to do it. So it's really up to you, however many students. It depends on how many students you're wanting to add to your list. If you have enough, let's say there's only 10, then maybe doing it one by one wouldn't be so bad. I'd say, you know, more than 10, more than 15, depending on how long that would take for you to do individually. If you already have them in an Excel sheet, then definitely just convert that into a CSV and then upload it that way. So it really just depends on how much time you have. And then if you already have the students you want on your list, neatly organized in an Excel file already. So that is how you create a list. Those are a couple of different options that you have for adding students to the lists that you create. For more information on Navigate and training, please visit our Avila Navigate faculty and staff training site. And then just let us know if you have any questions and go from there. Have a great day.